Are Manchester United finally learning what process really means?
To demonstrate that he's a great coach over 3.
After a decade of chaos, failed rebuilds and broken promises, something has changed inside Old Trafford. For the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson, Manchester United are no longer chasing instant results, they're chasing identity.
We have to be patient, and we have a long-term plan. It isn't a light switch, and you can't run a club like Manchester United on knee-jerk reactions to some journalist who goes off on one every week.
Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the man now steering the Ineos project, has made it clear Ruben Amorim will have 3 full years to prove he can rebuild the club from the ground up. It's a bold statement in a football world obsessed with quick fixes. Amorim's record so far doesn't flatter him, just 19 wins in 50 games, with the team currently sitting 10th in the Premier League after 3 wins in 8 matches. But those numbers, while painful, don't tell the whole story. Because what Ratcliffe sees is not failure, it's construction. Last season's 15th place finish, United's worst since 1974, exposed years of structural rot.
Survive now. So, we are being the worst team, maybe.
8 managers have come and gone since Ferguson, each trying to patch a problem that was never properly understood. Tactical ideas were stacked on top of one another like mismatched layers. Mourinho's rigidity, Solskjaer's freedom, Ten Hag's control, and the result was a club without a footballing soul. Amorim's appointment was never about instant redemption. It was about resetting the foundation, teaching the club, its players and its fans what it truly means to believe in a process.
Mason Mount was on the TV, he said the players are 100% behind the gaffer. Is that what you've seen from your squad?
I saw today, and I know that they want to do the best, and I know that they don't want to change the coach all the time. But like I said during this week, to be with the manager I will kill myself to go in every transition. That is we need to show with actions.
That's why Ineos are breaking the cycle. Ratcliffe understands that firing managers every 18 months hasn't made United stronger, it's made them unstable. Amorim represents something different, a manager who values systems over superstars, development over shortcuts, and time over panic. Yes, the results are bad on paper, but underneath the surface, there's a pulse. United's pressing metrics, their chance creation, and their transitional structure have all improved. The data shows a team that's not static, it's evolving.
To analyze the next game and to prepare different things. I think we are playing well until we reach the boxes. We need to be more clinical, and if you see the number of shots, the XG, all these things are good, but if you don't score, it doesn't matter. If you don't win games. Then, again, I said it after the last game, the way we suffer the goals, we can avoid that. We are being naive, we need to be more aggressive in order to win games. We just have to maintain to play the way we are playing, but improving on the opponent's box.
And as painful as this stage looks, it's the price of real transformation. So while the headlines say mid-table mediocrity, the truth is this: Manchester United are finally being rebuilt, not repainted. In this video, we'll show you why Ineos are absolutely right to back Ruben Amorim, and how, with time, his project could completely break the Premier League. Manchester United's downfall didn't happen overnight. It was a slow, painful collapse, one built on arrogance, mismanagement, and a complete misunderstanding of what made the club great in the first place. To be clear, United's decline is self-inflicted. The rot set in not because of a single man, but because of a decade of poor decisions. Under the Glazers' ownership and Ed Woodward's direction, footballing logic was replaced by commercial greed. And Old Trafford, once the home of excellence, became a laboratory of failed experiments. The chain reaction began with David Moyes, the man anointed as the chosen one to follow Sir Alex Ferguson. Handed a 6-year contract and promises of star signings Gareth Bale, Cesc Fabregas, even Cristiano Ronaldo. Moyes walked into a trap. The big names never arrived. Instead, he got Marouane Fellaini and Leighton Baines on his wish list, and United ended up overpaying for Fellaini while rejecting a pre-agreed deal for Thiago Alcantara. When Juan Mata arrived for an inflated fee, the tone was set. Too much money, wrong players, no plan.
Like coming to England, so I have a great relationship with David Moyes, but it's just sometimes he could have been stubborn, and like was I say, he was dead. Like coming after Ferguson.
Moyes was sacked in April 2014, But the chaos didn't stop. Under Louis van Gaal, Woodward began acting like a fantasy football manager, breaking British transfer records on Angel Di Maria £59.7 million and Radamel Falcao, while selling academy-grown talents like Danny Welbeck and Johnny Evans for cheap. The result was a squad bloated with misfits Blind, Shaw, Schneiderlin, Darmian and no identity.
We've seen so many players over the years who have come and just underperformed. I look at Angel Di Maria and I think, wow. I remember his first game away at Burnley. I remember him getting into the dressing room, tight as anything. I remember looking at him thinking he looked like a little lost soul, bless him. He just got absolutely battered. All over, just battered, just absolutely mullered. Every time he got the ball, whack. Just never really got United. Maybe the manager didn't help, he didn't get along with the manager, but I've seen so many players, because the shirt's so heavy, that don't perform, then go on to do so well in the career.
Van Gaal's stubbornness made things worse. His methods clashed with the culture of the Premier League, and his poor man management created rifts.
There's a great Ander Herrera story where they'd gone to Everton, a really tough place to go, and they'd won 3-0, and towards the end of the game, Herrera, his first touch, scores this really good goal. And the game finishes, he's down the tunnel at Goodison Park, and he sees Van Gaal at the door of the dressing room, and he's going, yeah, it's like this, and he's ready for his big high five and the big pat on the back. And Van Gaal just goes, no, I told you not to shoot with your first touch. Yeah. And they've won 3-0 at Everton, and the whole mood of the dressing room just goes like this.
The story of Memphis Depay, punished for an error and then showing up to a reserve match in a Rolls-Royce, summed up a dressing room without respect or direction. Even Sadio Mane rejected United, admitting he didn't want to play for Van Gaal, a damning indictment of the club's image. By the time Jose Mourinho arrived, the squad was unbalanced beyond repair. Mourinho did what Mourinho always does. He spent big, tried to control everything, and built short-term success on shaky ground. Pogba, Ibrahimovic, Mkhitaryan, Bailly, Lukaku, Lindelöf, Matic and Alexis Sanchez, a parade of expensive names with no chemistry. The signing of Alexis Sanchez on £400,000 a week became a symbol of United's new era, desperate, directionless, disconnected.
For some of my lovers, I just want to say, for the ones that like stats, 14 seasons in the Champions League, 14 times qualified for the through the group phases. Never one of my teams stayed behind the group phase. The season I didn't play Champions.
Mourinho still finished second in 2017-18, a remarkable feat considering the mess he inherited. But when he called that one of his greatest achievements, it revealed how far United had fallen. The standards had collapsed so much that second place became a success story. From Moyes' hesitation to Van Gaal's rigidity to Mourinho's control obsession, the same pattern repeated, a club trying to rebuild while still rotting from within. And that pattern, that addiction to short-termism, paved the way for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a man chosen not for his tactics but for nostalgia. And that brings us to the final nail in Manchester United's coffin, Erik Ten Hag. Ten Hag wanted control. He craved it. And for a while he had it. The Dutchman was granted unprecedented authority at Old Trafford over tactics, over the squad, even over the grass length and the dressing room layout. Yet with power comes exposure, and as the problems piled up, there was nowhere left to hide. Ten Hag dictated everything. He redesigned the video analysis room at Carrington with a £200,000 setup, changed the matchday routines, scrapped the team bus, and made players drive to Old Trafford on their own. He rearranged the dressing room by position defenders on one side, attackers on the other, and even demanded to move the dugouts closer to the tunnel to improve his view of the pitch. Every small detail had to reflect his vision. But the illusion of control collapsed under the weight of fractured relationships. The Ronaldo saga was the first sign. What began as a show of discipline turned into humiliation, a veteran legend banned from entering the dressing room to collect his own boots.
I was very disappointing for the communicator of Manchester United, to be honest. I never had a problem with any club, with any coach, and they suspend me 3 days, which is I felt a lot, and it was a shame.
Was it humiliating for you?
I think so, yes. I have to say the truth, what I felt.
Then came the Jadon Sancho debacle. 4 months of isolation, training alone, eating alone, changing alone.
There were issues, and we have had issues all the way through. And so you can make out his staying here at Manchester United so far is not a success. So now he's going back to Borussia Dortmund. So I wish him the best of luck. We hope all he's doing very well there. He will be successful, and then we will see what's going on.
The demand for a public apology turned the dressing room cold. Players began to whisper the same thing. He's gone too far again. When Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos took charge, they gave Ten Hag time and support. But soon they realised that many of the issues, the fractured dressing room, the tactical confusion, the inconsistency, pointed directly to the manager himself.
It was quite difficult to see whether what environment Eric was operating in. Was it, in other words, was the erratic performance a function of Eric, or was it a function of the organisation? And we couldn't really get to the bottom of answering that question.
Yes, Ten Hag won the FA Cup against Manchester City, and yes, he survived the end-of-season review. But that victory only delayed the inevitable. The Dutchman left with 70 wins and 35 defeats in 128 games, yet the cracks had been visible long before his departure. He arrived preaching discipline and identity, but left behind a broken dressing room, a confused squad, and a fan base numb to disappointment. So when Ruben Amorim walked through those doors, he didn't inherit a football club, he inherited chaos. A locker room scarred by 7 different tactical ideologies, a squad full of players who'd forgotten what it means to represent Manchester United, and an institution that had lost its identity. For Amorim, this isn't just another managerial stint. It's a resurrection project, a total rebuild of the club's footballing soul. And that's where the story turns, because what's happening now at Old Trafford isn't just about results, it's about reconstruction. Amorim's intelligence, Ineos structure, and the new player core have created the first real signs of stability in over a decade. So forget the headlines and the league table, this is where the real revolution begins. When Ruben Amorim took the Manchester United job, he didn't just inherit a broken team, he inherited a poisoned throne. Every manager before him had been swallowed by the same curse: compromise. Some bent their ideas to fit the players they had. Others tried to reinvent the squad overnight. Amorim faced that same crossroads on day one: adapt his philosophy to the team, or force the team to adapt to his philosophy. He chose the harder path, the long-term path. Instead of chasing instant gratification and short-term results, Amorim doubled down on building a system.
There are a lot of things that you have no idea what happened during these months, but I accept that. But I'm not going to change. When I want to change my philosophy, I will change. If not,
and a culture, the two things Manchester United had lost.
If you are not working, if you are a lazy guy in training, he's not like it.
He'll kill you.
Yeah, he will kill you. For him, the training is really important too, because you play in the game like you train, So the most important thing is to be really good in training.
And that's good for your mindset as a team, and that's the culture you're trying to build within everybody's 100% every
Involved
day.
every day, yeah.
He installed his bold, unshakable 3-4-3 structure, a formation as demanding as it is misunderstood, and he never wavered from it, not once. The result? In pure numbers, the worst season in the club's modern history. But beneath that surface, the foundation of a new identity was being laid. Amorim's system exposed what United had been hiding for years: a lack of tactical discipline, poor collective understanding, and a culture problem. It wasn't just about positioning or pressing, it was about commitment. That's why players like Alejandro Garnacho and Marcus Rashford, symbols of flair but not always consistency, found themselves on the outside looking in. Amorim didn't exile them because they lacked talent. He did it because they didn't fit the culture of total accountability he demanded. Others, like Rasmus Højlund, were moved on not out of punishment but necessity. Amorim was assembling a team that could execute his plan, not one that lived off moments, and the data backs him up. Late last season, and continuing into this one, Manchester United have quietly become the team with the highest expected goals in the Premier League. That's not luck, that's structure. Amorim's system creates chance after chance. But there's another side to that coin. They also sit bottom of the league in XG underperformance, with -5.4. In simple terms, United generate plenty but finish poorly. That's why Amorim's first major mission wasn't tactical, it was surgical. He needed killers in the box, players who could turn all those carefully built chances into goals. So came the next phase of the rebuild, a £230 million investment in 3 key signings designed to solve that one problem and unleash the full power of Amorim's football machine. Amorim's planning in the transfer market was surgical, especially when it came to rebuilding the attack. He brought in Brian Mbeumo, whose numbers speak for themselves. The 25-year-old Cameroon international registered 27 goals and assists in the 2024/25 Premier League season, the third highest total in the division, behind only Mohamed Salah and Alexander Isak. And this season he's already contributed 2 goals and 1 assist.
Diogo Dalot into the penalty area, he's going to try and get the cross away to Mbeumo! Manchester United retake the lead!
Then came the investment in the future. Benjamin Šeško, a 22-year-old striker capable of scoring in every possible way. He broke the 22-goal barrier last season and is now finding his rhythm at United, scoring in back-to-back matches for the first time. And finally, Matheus Cunha, one of the most dynamic and unpredictable forwards in the Premier League, a player with exceptional dribbling, creativity, and a lethal long-range shot. In fact, his finishing from distance is so good that he currently leads the league in goals scored from outside the box. So yes, player for player, they sound world class. But here's the catch, £230 million spent for a combined total of just 4 goals and 1 assist so far. Because for Amorim, the problem was never just the forwards. The real issues lie deeper in the defence and the midfield. Manchester United create a lot of chances, but very few goals. And that's not because the forwards are bad. The transfer window was built specifically to give Amorim the firepower he needed. The real issue lies somewhere else, the quality of the chances being created. Like any transformation, this process takes time, and when these top-level signings arrived, they exposed the club's deepest structural flaw. United struggled to create clear, goal-scoring opportunities. The reason? The team is completely disconnected. The midfield for long stretches simply doesn't exist. Throughout the season, the fullbacks have been pinned deep, the midfield reduced to just Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro, and the attack isolated with Cunha, Šeško and Mbeumo. The result? A broken shape. The defensive line communicates directly with the forwards, skipping the midfield altogether, leaving attackers stranded and forced to shoot from impossible angles. That's why United's expected goals numbers are high, not because of good football, but because of desperation. Amorim recognised this and made his first tactical evolution, switching to a 3-4-2-1, placing Mason Mount and Amad Diallo as hybrid interiors behind the strikers. This subtle change created a bridge between midfield and attack Mount, and Diallo now move into half spaces, linking play and providing Bruno and Casemiro with more options. Amorim tested it against Sunderland, and in just 30 minutes, United produced more real danger than in all their previous league matches combined. The build-up looked fluid, the decision-making sharper, and the forwards finally had support. Defensively, the improvement has been dramatic. Last season, United conceded 54 goals, their worst record in Premier League history. This year, they've already corrected one of the biggest issues, turnovers in their own half. From a chaotic 42 giveaways last season, they're down to just 11 so far, a stunning improvement that reflects structure and confidence. That's also because Amorim finally found his back three. Leny Yoro is proving himself as one of Europe's most talented young defenders. Matthijs de Ligt is the vocal leader Amorim needed. And Luke Shaw, in what feels like his last real chance to shine, is finally giving defensive balance. With Dalot and Amad Diallo given more attacking freedom, the wing-backs now link naturally with the midfield and forwards. The team is tighter, more compact, and tactically coherent, and against Sunderland, for the first time in months, they look like an elite side. Amorim has quietly fixed 3 of United's biggest problems: chance creation, by loosening his system slightly and populating midfield zones, something both Bruno and Casemiro have openly benefited from. Finishing efficiency, by creating cleaner chances for his new attack, and the goals are starting to come. Defensive solidity, by establishing a consistent back three, even with key injuries like Lisandro Martinez's. And then there's the goalkeeper issue, arguably the most critical piece of all. None of these changes would matter if United couldn't trust the man between the posts. Onana's inconsistency was costly.
Could be interesting. Onana's in big trouble, and it's going to be forced.
And Bayinder's positioning errors created constant panic. Amorim's solution: a bold move, signing Senne Lammens, a young Belgian keeper with elite reflexes, confidence under pressure, and penalty-saving instincts. Everyone keeps criticising Amorim's management, but the truth is, the Portuguese coach has been surgical. He's fixing one problem at a time. That's why Ineos trust him. That's why he's still in charge. This isn't a quick repair. It's a total rebuild. Think about it. The players at United today deserve to be there. They fit the vision and the culture. The ones who didn't belong are gone. Tactically, Amorim has improved everything he can with the tools available. He stuck to his philosophy, despite the pressure giving United back an identity. The players are starting to understand the system, and the team finally looks alive. The numbers might not show it yet, but the football does. The project is working. The heritage curse is being lifted, and if Amorim stays the course, this Manchester United might just be the one that finally rises again. And none of the previous 7 coaches managed to do this. It's also crucial to highlight Sir Jim Ratcliffe's role in this transformation. For the first time in over a decade, Manchester United's leadership is actually aligned with its manager. They gave Amorim the players he asked for, the freedom to implement his system, and most importantly the trust to fail in the short term so he can succeed in the long term. The work being done behind the scenes is just as significant as what happens on the pitch. Ratcliffe and Ineos have begun to heal the club's finances, cleaning up the wreckage left by the Glazers' chaotic administration. The spending is now strategic, not desperate. Gone are the days of overpaying ageing stars or chasing random marquee names to please sponsors. The club now signs players that fit a clear tactical and cultural profile. High salary underperformers have been moved on, panic buys have disappeared, and every financial decision is made with the future of the institution in mind, not short-term PR. All of this matters even more when you look at the context of today's Premier League. This is the most competitive era in its history. Clubs like Liverpool, Arsenal and Chelsea are spending aggressively to chase perfection, while the so-called mid-table sides Brighton, Newcastle, and now Crystal Palace are closer than ever in quality. That's what makes Amorim's progress so impressive. He's improving his team during the hardest period imaginable to do so. The project is starting to make sense because, for the first time in years, Manchester United has a focused boardroom, a long-term project, a visionary coach, and a squad finally being built with purpose. This combination, competent management, tactical identity, and the right players is exactly what the club has been missing since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. So yes, this is still an experiment, but it's one that's working, slowly, patiently, and with the right foundations. And if Amorim, Ineos, and this new United stay the course, there's little doubt about what comes next. The Red Devils will rise again, not through luck or nostalgia, but through structure, vision, and conviction. The Amorim experiment won't just change Manchester United, it might just break the Premier League.